All right, so when we get new fish, we don't really want to feed them for the first 2 days. And when we feed them, we want to put a tiny bit of food in, make sure it's all gone in 30 seconds. Then over time, if we notice the fish getting fat, we need to feed a little bit more. If we notice the fish getting thin, we need to feed, oh, you know what I mean. If you notice the fish getting fat, you've got to feed less. If you notice the fish getting thin, you need to feed more. And if you notice the big fish getting fat, and the small fish are skinny, you might need to add some smaller pellets. If you notice that the little fish are getting fat and the big fish are getting skinny, then you might need some bigger pellets. Same with fish that swim towards the top, fish that swim towards the bottom. You put some sinking food in. If your bottom fish are fat, are getting skinny, put some floating food in. If your top fish are getting skinny. So you need to look at your fish, and if you bring us a video, we can analyse that and make sure that the fish are getting the right food. And I'm very biased towards two foods. One is probiotics from New Life Spectrum. That's because it's a cold extruded probiotic food. And I also love Danichi, and I love colour, because Danichi colour gives the fish amazing colours, and it's a slow cooked food. Now let's have a talk about additives. So first thing we need is a water ager. Look at that very good looking fellow. He's very handsome. Very handsome man. That photo was taken probably not long after this tank went in. I think I was about 18 when I got that photo taken. No reason to get a new photo. Now, this is water ager. So this takes the chlorine and chloramone and stuff out of the water. So what we do is just put a nice big squirt of that in. That'll get rid of our chlorines, chloramone and stuff like that. 1 ml per 40 litres. If in doubt, chuck a bit more in. That'll work pretty much instantly. So that'll go and just get rid of all the stuff we don't want in the water. Now, the next thing is Sydney tap water is got a low KH. Tap water has a high pH and a low KH. Now, because we're going to go for cichlids, we definitely don't want a low KH. So what we're going to do is chuck a bit of KH generator in there. Then we're going to test the water before we add fish. So before fish go in the tank, we want to pop a water sample down to the shop. If we're happy with the level, you can take some fish. If you're not happy with the level, we'll tell you what to do. But basically, if your KH is too low, we can add extra KH. If your KH is too high, then you've got to do a water change to get the KH down. Now, this one, your lake salt, is for GH. Now, Sydney tap water doesn't have the right minerals and all that sort of stuff for cichlids. So we go and chuck some of that in. Then when you bring a sample down, we'll test it, and we'll see if your level's right. You could go and measure it and that, but I find I've been doing this for so long, I usually get it about right. Like Nana cooking a cake. Now, this one is your good bacteria. Now, your good bacteria should just grow, but having these bacteria enhancers are a very good idea. But it's better to put these in the fridge once you open them. And this helps to make sure that your good bacteria grows, so your good bacteria breaks all the waste down. And you have to put that in after the water ager. You cannot put this one in if that one's not in, or the chlorine in the tap water can kill this. So there's that handsome guy again. Hello, big boy. So we just got to squirt a bit of that in there, give it some good bacteria. And once again, if your ammonia or nitrite comes up, we might tell you to add that. If your GH is too low, we might tell you to add that. If your KH is too low, we might tell you to add that. And if those ones are too high, we might tell you to do a water change and not add them. And if in doubt, add more water ager. Now, the other thing is that you'll be amazed how much water evaporates. So the water will just go down. And when the water goes down, you have to add water ager. The others are a little bit optional. It will depend on what the levels are. So if in doubt, pop by the shop, bring us a sample of water, we'll chuck it in our spin test machine, and we will advise you. So you bring us a sample from your tank, and you bring us a video so we can see what's going on in the tank. We then can talk you through. We want the tank sort of 25, 27 degrees, definitely below 30. If in doubt, hit us up. We'll help these Aqua LED swing lights. They're very good quality, beautiful lights. But you really just want them on when we're enjoying the tank. So if you're out, rather the lights be off. If you're asleep, I'd rather the lights be off. So it's better to put them on a timer or just switch them on when you need them. The fish do not need the lights. If you've got plants, then you do need to have systematic lights, but the fish do not. Less light equals less algae. And if you ever get more algae, add more catfish, make sure you're feeding high quality foods, turn your lights off for a while. Gets rid of your algae. It's got a UV light on it, so see the little light there? That's signifying that the UV light is on. So this filter's on full, which I'm happy with. Now if I press that button, see the light went off? So now, this is a new filter. So I want the good bacteria getting in it. So I want to turn that UV off right now, but you could turn it on for a day or so every now and then. But ultimately, I want that off because I want to let the good bacteria establish in the tank before we start turning that UV on. But that UV, particularly because I'm worried that this is going to be a pretty sunny room, depending on, I don't know why you'd want to shut these windows. I'd want these windows open all the time. So the fact that there's a UV in that filter is going to help keep this water clear. So we can turn that on, let's say in a month or so, once all the good bacteria is in the filter. Then when we do clean the filter, we need to be only cleaning the filter in water we take out of the aquarium. We never clean the filter with tap water because we don't want to kill off all the good bacteria that we have grown to keep our fish.
Basically nothing going to plan with this job. It's all worked out fine. So I think I want to, when the water clears up, I want to look at how to hide these pipes a bit better. Maybe a big, saltwater looking plant or something. I'm worried about those pipes looking obvious. But then again, from the angle that you're looking at this tank, it's probably not really a problem. So it's all fine. So now we just want to let this tank settle down. We want to let the temperature get to 27 degrees. We can fill it up a little bit more. Sort of run out of time and energy now. It's all good. Now we just be a little bit patient. if we could give this tank like a week and just let it settle. Then pop down with a sample of the water. Let us check the water, make us a nice video. Let us see what's going on in the tank. Try to have the lights off, the little light switches are there. Have the lights off when you're not watching the tank. Get an electrician to do the electrical inside there. So that can all neatly go up inside there. And we should have Christmas, we should have some fish. So I reckon within a week, we should be right to put some fish in here. So what I'd like to do is choose, let's say about 6 cichlids, put them in the water, let them run around. So things like Venustus, and there's lots of different beautiful fish we can get, electric yellows and stuff. But the idea is we don't really want to put too many fish in at once. So what we'd rather do, put about 6 in, wait a week or two, bring us a sample of water, make sure the temperature's right, then chuck another 6 in, wait a week or two, chuck another 6 in, wait a week or two, just make sure the water's tested between each lot of fish to get introduced. Something like some silver dollars or something would be nice in here, something to use the middle of the tank. You could think about some things like archer fish to go on the top of the tank, electric yellows, blue peacocks, catfish. There's so many things we could put in here. So starting with mid-dwelling free-swimming fish would be a good start. And then the other thing just to be really aware of with an aquarium is the way it works is you set it up, and for 1 year you love it, and you like it for another year, and then you've sort of seen it. So if you ever find that you get to a point where you've sort of seen your tank, best thing to do, pull out all the decorations, change it all around, change the theme, out goes the boat, in goes something else, and sometimes even change all your fish, because change is king. And remember that when you're interested in your fish, you really look after them the best. And regardless of how good your view is, how big your TV is, after a while you sort of just get used to stuff. And if you do find that you're taking it for granted, fish are an easy thing to swap out. And so if you just let us know, we can take out various fish that maybe you've seen, put some different fish in, because change is king. Now, that's not to say that's for everyone, because some people get certain fish and they treat them like a pet dog, love them like part of the family, and that's all good. But if there are fish that, you've sort of seen, don't be afraid to swap them out. It's not a cat or a dog or a kid or a wife. Wife's sort of an expensive one to swap out, but, do what you got to do. Now, the other thing we need to be aware of with these cichlids is how they get along. So basically, cichlids are a highly intelligent fish. And you'll really find that one's friends with that one, and this one hates that one, and this one's a boss and nobody messes with him, and there's a wimp that nobody likes. Like, they really have a lot of personality. They're very intelligent fish. Now, it's your job to watch they get along. And the key to your fish getting along is, number one, have plenty of them. A busy tank, they will get along much better. If the tank's not busy, then because these fish come from a very busy environment, if the tank's not busy to the fish, that means danger. And then if there's not a lot of fish around, then they freak out, and they tend to hide a lot more, they tend to become a lot more territorial, and they become a lot more aggressive. So the more fish you have, within reason, then the better the fish tend to get along. The same as if you've got a bully, and he's in a room with a kid, he could freak the kid out, whereas the bully in the schoolyard with all the other kids, it just disperses the attention. And how well your fish get along is also governed by who the boss of the tank is. So if you have a good boss, and he gives everyone a chase and doesn't hurt anybody, then that's a good boss. But if you have a boss that just picks one and just chases it around all the time, eventually you might kill it. And let's call him Hitler. So if Hitler is running your country, you're in big trouble. Because he'll go after the Jews, and then he'll go after the Poles, and then he'll just go after everyone. Better off just either get rid of Hitler, or you've got to put someone in to dominate Hitler. Because if Hitler was just an accountant, he'd probably just stuff up your books and he's not the end of the world. But if he's a chancellor of Germany, then he's a real big problem. So you can get that same fish out of this tank that's beating all your fish up, chuck him in another tank where he's not the dominant fish, and sometimes he won't cause any problems. But if you do see a problem fish, just let us know about it. Because sometimes the easiest thing to do is just get rid of Hitler. Anyway, if in doubt, if anything doesn't seem right, if anything's not fun, bring us a sample of water, come down and see us, and we will talk you through it. And make sure you get familiar with our YouTube, Majestic Aquariums TV on YouTube. And in the search bar of Majestic Aquariums TV on YouTube, you can pretty much write anything you want, and it'll come up with videos, teach you all about it. Good fun. So a fish aquarium, if you ask me, is the ultimate piece of furniture. It's a wonderful hobby, and the fish make great pets, all in one. And it's absolutely amazing, actually, when you've got multi-million-dollar views like this, the feedback I get about the aquarium often rivals the view. So for here, you might spend $5,000 or $10,000, and you can get a feature where you look in the water as opposed to look at the water, which these days, that's a bloody $10 million water view. $5,000 or $10,000 fish tank. One looks at the water, one looks in the water. Certainly good value, I reckon.